breaking in the last couple of hours. A manhunt now over in a search for a 9-year-old who disappeared while riding her bike during a family camping trip Saturday evening in upstate New York. And this one is a rare occurrence. Charlotte Sena has been found safe. Doesn't mean she was unharmed. A suspect in her abduction now in custody. New York State Police saying this is still an active investigation. State police said they identified an individual as being in the area of the Murrow Lake State Park when Charlotte disappeared, which led authorities to search multiple residences where the individual is known to live, and they found her in one of the homes. A report in the last hour from the Albany Times-Union citing multiple law enforcement officers said the 51-year-old suspect, who allegedly has a sexual abuse criminal history, allegedly left a note at her parents' house, possibly demanding some type of ransom in connection with her disappearance. The Times-Union didn't name the suspect, who allegedly has ties to the Glen Falls area, which is 15 minutes from the park where Charlotte was last seen. And the report says he was convicted of sodomy in 1997 and sentenced up to 15 years in prison for plying young boys with drugs and engaging in sex acts with them. Charlotte disappeared from Murrow Lake State Park in New York. She went bike riding with friends around dinner time Saturday, said she wanted to do one last loop by herself. The 9-year-old never returned. About 30 minutes after her disappearance, her bike was found in the park. An Amber Alert was issued for her the next day. Helicopters, bloodhounds, drones, and airboats were being used to locate Charlotte. 400 people were looking for her. Joining me now is Michael Kopy. He's the former troop commander in charge of state police in the field office in this area in the Hudson Valley in New York. Thanks so much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. So what do you make of the fact that there may have been a ransom note here? That seems very unusual from someone with this sort of background, no?
It is, but it's speculation now that hasn't been confirmed, but certainly would be unusual. Fortunately, Charlotte has been found safe, and that they were able to bring her back to her parents. But it would be unusual, and I'd be curious to see if, in fact, that's true.
Because obviously, if it's also true, they went to a number of houses, right? And that's the latest reporting, that had been associated with him in some way, shape, or form. And the fact that they were able to find her at one of them is just, sort of an amazing development.
Find her and find her in close proximity in good shape. Certainly, once the troopers, and they had every available resource from what I'm told working on this, once the troopers identified a suspect and or potentially suspects, they would have put all of the suspects' houses and previous houses and friends' houses under surveillance as they continue the investigation and try to determine where she was.
And it's just generally rare, sadly, that a child like this who goes missing in these kinds of circumstances is found alive.
Well, fortunately, the troopers were working night and day on this, and they were able to develop a suspect and then find out where she was. So, fortunately, they got to her in enough time, and they were able to get her out of the house and get her to.
Yeah, and they're going to want to probably piece this together. We thought they would be holding a press conference tonight. They're not, and that's probably so they can take a deep breath, right, and figure out exactly what do we know, what do we want to say at this point, et cetera.
Well, there's two things. Certainly, I'm sure they're still going to scour the area up there at Murrow Lake State Park to see what, if any, other evidence is there. And that's going to have to continue there. Plus, they're going to do a deep dive into this subject or subjects' backgrounds to begin to determine where else was he and are there any other potential cases that are going to be tied to him.
All right. Michael Kopy, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Have a nice night.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.